We're here today to talk about Benjamin Franklin, the Enlightenment, courtiers, and Benjamin Franklin's work, the Poor Richard's Almanac. The Enlightenment was taking place in Europe for quite some time, and made its way to the Americas in the 18th century. The Enlightenment began in France, traveled through Britain, and made its way to the Americas through the trade that was taking place over the Atlantic. This was not only a trade of physical goods and a migration of people, but also an exchange of ideas. The Enlightenment was, in essence, the idea that, as Foner puts it, all human institutions, authorities, and traditions should be judged before the bar of reason. This is basically putting reason over religion as a form of governance of civil affairs. So there were several active people in the Americas that were active in the Enlightenment. One of these people was John Locke. John Locke published The Reasonableness of Christianity in 1695, which stated that religion should be based in scientific fact, not in various preachings or non-reason, basically. This eventually led to, these teachings eventually led to Arminianism, which was a school of thought that stated that reason was the only thing capable of creating the foundations of religion. The Enlightenment also led to another school of thought, deism, which is that God created the world and then withdrew from the world to let the rules that he had put in place govern everything. And kind of the most purest example of this is Newton's law, or when Newton discovered the natural laws that govern the physical universe. Alright, here we have Benjamin Franklin, pictured here as in an illustration and here in his action figure form. Here he's with his famed kite and key experiment, one of the many things that made him a man of reason and made him a man that exemplified the spirit of the Enlightenment. Franklin was a self-educated man who had many amazing accomplishments during his life. He established a newspaper, founded a debating club, the Junto, that would eventually become the American Philosophical Society, and started the first library in the colonies, and published Poor Richard's Almanac, which we'll get into later. He's also famous for conducting various experiments, such as his experiment with the key and kite. Franklin was a deist, which meant that he agreed with the idea that God created the world and then withdrew, allowing the laws that he created to govern the operations of the world. Franklin was not only a scientific man, but also an ambassador. He was a government figure. He was an ambassador in Europe and negotiated the Franco-American alliance in France and negotiated the peace treaty that ended the Revolutionary War, the Treaty of Paris. He also played a critical role in, as a courtier, one of the other vocab words, a person of the court, where he played a critical role in securing the support of the French for the American Revolution, which proved critical in America's ability to gain its independence from England. And without that, we very well could have been unsuccessful. Now, Poor Richard's Almanac was one of Franklin's projects, or many, many accomplishments. Poor Richard's Almanac was a yearly almanac published by Ben Franklin, and it contained a calendar, weather predictions for the year, which was very crucial for a farming-based society, poems, some of his sayings that he would write, such as "a penny saved is a penny earned," or "a stitch in time saves 9," meaning that a stitch that you take time to do saves you time down the road. And Poor Richard's Almanac also contained astronomical and astrological information about the stars and whatnot. And it was very popular and very influential. And yeah, so that is Benjamin Franklin, Poor Richard's Almanac, the Enlightenment, and courtiers.